set? Okay. I'd like to please call the meeting to order. Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Rogers. Trustee Reinders.
Present.
Trustee Pazmino.
Present.
Trustee Consolino.
Present.
Trustee Fialco.
Present.
Trustee Laha.
Present.
And Mayor Yukich.
Present. Is there any amendments to the agenda?
Dan, amendments to the agenda?
3 to 5? Yes, sir, there is one. We'd like to move I3 to I5.
I3.
And I5 up to I3. And that would be the amendments for myself. As far as, Carrie, I guess I need your help with this one. If we're going to remove something for the agenda, is it appropriate to wait till that item comes up, or can I also do it now?
You make a motion to remove the item from the agenda. And get a second, and then the village board act on it.
Right, and I can make that motion now, not wait till the subject matter comes up in the agenda? Correct, okay. I would like to make an additional amendment to remove the ordinance. That would be,
18A.
hold on one second.
Number 9.
9, okay. I would like to remove from the, I'd like to make the motion to remove I9 from the agenda and to basically table that for at least one meeting.
So move.
Second.
Wait, a little confusion. Trustee Falco, you were making that motion, correct?
Correct?
So Ruben, you seconded it, correct? Okay. Trustee Fialco.
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino.
Aye.
Trustee Rogers. Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
And Trustee Laha.
Aye.
Next would be the minutes. I need a motion to approve and not release the executive session minutes for the following 2021 meeting, November 10th, and the following 2022 meetings, January 25th, February 9th, February 23rd, March 9th, March 23rd, April 27th.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Rogers. Trustee Consolino.
No.
Trustee Laha.
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino.
Aye.
And Trustee Fialco.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next would be public comment. John Swanson. Hopefully we got that right. Who signed the first one? Address 13645 West Chicago, Bloomington. Next would be Gail Snyder.
Good evening, Mayor Yukich and trustees.
2 days ago, the Homer Township Board voted to approve putting up the sale of 2 open space farms, the Purdy and Paul farms. In total, they are over 140 acres of land. They also approved the sale of some portion of the Paul farm to adjacent property owners. The township voted to approve signing a petition to annex the Trantina farm into the village of Homer Glen. The township plans to sell the 2 farms to fund the construction of an event center on the Trantina farm. The township is also in the planning stages of what the event center will be. Your village manager, Carmen Morella, has been meeting with Township Supervisor Balich as well as Township Highway Commissioner Brent Portfolio to plan the event center on the Trantina farm. All the actions I listed, the sale of properties, the price negotiations for portions of properties, and the development plans for the Trantina farm have occurred in secret and behind closed doors. There have been no public notifications of meetings on these issues, and no one from the public was allowed to listen or comment on any of these actions until just minutes before they occurred. 1, your village manager, Carmen Morella, should be facilitating and acting in the best interest of the residents of Homer Glen, and the first step in that process is transparency. I encourage you, as the mayor and village board, to insist that these planning meetings about the Trantina farm occur in a way that the public can listen to what is going on and to make comments before the plans are so far along that they are unchangeable. 2, the township did not want to take care of their parklands and that they have been taking care of for decades and gave them to the village, which the board accepted ownership of. Now you have the burden of paying to maintain those parks. Will the same thing occur with the Trantina Farm Event Center? Will the ownership and or operation of the Trantina Farm, once developed and annexed into the village, then be given over to the village? Would you accept the ownership of the Trantina Farm? And how would you pay to maintain such an event center that will have parking for 1,000 to 1,500 vehicles? 3, you represent a large portion of Homer Township. Residents voted to approve an open space program and to fund it. You can take action as a village to voice your objections to the sale of properties your constituency wants. Residents want open space. Many of them stay in this area or move here because of the large portions of undeveloped land around the community. Much of that land will be developed at some point because it is not set aside as open space or forest preserve. We do not have a large amount of land that will be preserved once everything is built up. You must look to the future and realize that setting aside land for open space 20 years ago keeps this community unique 30 and seconds. desirable. I urge you to take action and tell the township not to sell open space lands, and I encourage residents who are concerned about this to contact township officials as well as you and encourage you to stop this sale. Thank you. I'm going to submit this for the record.
Next would be Matt Klein.
Good evening. I'm the attorney for Martha Enterprises. That's the applicant for Villas of Old Oak. Jim, Martha, and I are here if you have any questions when that comes up on the agenda. So,
Thank you. Next would be Mike Nomo.
Hey, good evening, Mayor. Good evening, village officials, Homer Glen. What I'm here to talk about is the Senior Lifestyle Expo. It's something that happened this past Saturday at the Hadley Middle School. How it evolved is an idea. I've been running the Homer Township Senior Committee for since I became elected as a township trustee, and I was doing bingo the second Tuesday of every month. And we would bring in visitors and speakers, and then I came up with this idea of maybe have the speakers gather together in one place and have a grand expo with them. So by talking, Mark Arwin and me started to talk, and then we said, why don't we just make a big event? So a couple steps we had to take in place is getting people in place to work with us to work on the expo, get a venue, get vendors, all the above. So we put together a group of people from the village, from the township, some businesses in the area, and Craig Shupp, the superintendent for 33C, gave us a venue. He allowed us to have the school, no questions asked. We were able to work with the gym, the cafeteria, the library, and one other side room to run the event, no questions asked. With that being said, we went around to the community to get different vendors involved. And we were about a month before the expo was to begin. we had about 25 vendors signed up, and we were getting a little bit nervous. Then we put our foot to the pedal and went around and got a little more aggressive. We had 58 vendors at the show, and it was our first annual senior expo. We call it the Lifestyle. And some of the things that we had there, we had a magician, and we also had a 360-degree selfie station. What else do we have? We had a band playing a guitar, and thanks to Ruben from Ruby Gabi, he compensated us for the band player, and his name was
Armando Burks.
Yeah, and a guy who plays around Lockport. The magician was paid for by Restoration Associates. It's a family-owned company my father owns, so we picked up that. What else do we have? Rosie was generous enough to provide all the pastries, the coffee, the drinks, everything. So we had that provided to seniors, no charge. We got some donations, one from Mora Builders. He gave us a nice generous donation.
30 seconds.
Okay, great. And last but not least, Buy Rental on 159th provided tables for the event. When we returned the tables, we asked for the bill. He said, don't worry about it. He picked up that as well. And let me give 4 quotes from the expo, from people that were there. I've been to many of the senior-oriented events, but this one was the best. The other one was, this was fantastic. There was so much to learn, and you guys hit it out of the park. And most importantly, I know Sue Stylen has decided to retire and step down. I'm not sure when her last day is, but she stepped forward and was a rock star. She prepared the applications and she worked feverishly. I would call her at 7 o'clock at night, and she was still here working on the expo up to the last minute. So for her, I wouldn't mind a round of applause for Sue, because I know she's leaving, and we need to thank her for her services with Homer Glen and what she did for us. And last but not least, we will have a second event next year. The date is yet to be determined. Thank you.
Next would be Angel Shea.
Good evening, Board, Mayor, residents. I just wanted to reiterate basically with what Mike Bonomo said. I appreciate that the village and the library and the township all came together. We had a great expo. We had so much positive feedback from the seniors. It was a really nice thing. I don't think that people realize, you know, people that aren't seniors, a lot of, like, even our kids and stuff, they don't realize. And we had so many volunteers come in, so many kids came in and helped, young adults. They were able to get some service hours, but they really just enjoyed doing it. The roadies brought their whole family, and their girls were there taking pictures for us and keeping track of the little ones that were running around. The sheriff's department, the fire department, we had a canine unit, a little drug bloodhound that the couple kids that did come with their grandparents or their parents, it was the cutest thing ever. They had so much fun. But I just want everybody to know how much the seniors really appreciate this, and I'm glad this is going to be an annual thing, because sometimes we don't think about the people that don't get out a lot and everything else. We do the senior bingo once a month at Cross of Glory generally, but and even there, everybody, all the seniors are always so grateful. So I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of the seniors and the residents, and thank you for working with us to do this.
Next would be Steve Bellich.
I'm here to talk about the forgery, but before I do, I just want to make it clear to everyone that statements from people that are pissed off about what the township is doing, they should probably come to the township and they'll come to our meetings and express them. They did. And then they'll realize that everything we do is under advice of the attorney. We don't do anything without our attorney. So we don't do anything wrong, and we're operating according to the statutes. And we do not have a committee, so that's why we don't have any meetings. I'm meeting with the people, and I ask Carmen to come with me sometimes, and same with Brent Porfilio, and Vicky Bozen, But we don't have a committee for that, and we don't have one yet because I don't want to have everything leaked out like it happened before, and a bunch of lies and rumors and misinnuendos were put out about the things the townships were doing on Facebook, and it killed the deal. I don't want to see that now, so I'm holding back. There's going to be in October, people are going to find out about it. In November, we're having a workshop. So when people start going on Facebook and saying baloney about the township, it's baloney. Don't believe what you see on that stupid Facebook. Anyway, moving on. About 3 months ago, there was a forgery. 3 months have passed. We still don't know. That means whoever did that forgery could be signing checks, could be signing other documents. And there's a bunch of people in the room that are my friends, and I don't want them accused unjustly. I don't want anybody that works here being accused unjustly. I said it before. And now, 3 months passed. I think it's been about a month or 6 weeks since you got a person to identify an expert to look at the signatures. So I decided that since I live here, and I don't want to see anyone stealing from this village. It's a bunch of baloney stealing from the village, because that's what this is. That person could be signing every other document. How the hell do we know what they're signing? So I'm going to turn all the information that I know over to the Illinois State's Attorney, and I'm going to call the Illinois Attorney General and get them involved. Because I want this to be found. Whoever did it needs to be getting in trouble. And I don't care who it is, they need to answer to it.
30 seconds.
So that's it. Thank you.
Next will be Mike Burrows.
Good evening, everybody. Well, I wanted to start saying, Carmen Morella, you are an excellent village manager. You have my total support. The Homer Stallions, we're going to come here tonight and thank you for everything you've done for them, but they are in a game right now. So I could not get them to come. The coach wouldn't let me have them over here, so I said I would speak for them. But they are going to make it in here and shake your hand because they really appreciate it. Okay, are we asking the wrong questions here? So there's a couple of issues that keep circling around the village and our meetings, and I think the wrong questions are being asked. So number one, the first question, who forged the mayor's signature on the liquor license for the fest? Mayor Yukich has sworn up and down that he did not sign it, the 2022 fest liquor license. Although this needs to be addressed, my question is, who signed the liquor license? George has served in this community on a planning and zone. He also served as a trustee and is in his 6th year of mayor. Yes, he is the mayor. Mayor Yukich, knows that the fest is our biggest village fundraiser. Mayor Yukich darn well knows that the fest needs the liquor license, and the Mayor Yukich also knows that this was Trustee Fialko's first year with the fest committee. I don't know, are you jealous or sabotaging? I don't know. Well, Mr. Fialko did one of the most excellent jobs that this fest committee has ever seen, ever, in the 10 years that I've seen this fest go on. So why wasn't George back in March telling Dan, hey, remind me, I gotta sign the liquor license? Why wasn't George back in April saying, hey, I got to sign a liquor license, or even May? But why did the Mayor Yukich wait until the week before the fest and say, I never signed that license? So the second one is about the attorneys. So everyone keeps talking about the 2 attorneys. So why do you need 2 lawyers? This has been decided a lot, and the fact of the matter is that the trustees have the right to a legal representation. They chose, and they also does the mayor. But my question is, why does the mayor choose to have a real estate lawyer?
30 seconds.
And not a parliamentary lawyer? A parliamentary lawyer is the best suit for this atmosphere. Would you hire a workman comp lawyer to close on your house? Of course not. Does your mayor decide proper legal guidance to aid him in doing the best the people work? You know that they say a tradesman or a machinist is only as good as the tools that are in his toolbox. Is the mayor using the right tools? I don't know. I think we need to start asking the right questions and truly get down to the bottom of what actually is going on here in our village. And also, I want to thank the village board, and I want to thank the township board and Steve and everybody for that expo. Excellent job how you guys all work together. That's a team right there.
And Mike, anytime you want to ask a question, you're more than welcome to.
I just did. Answer them.
We're not going to take an hour to fill a bunch of nonsense that you just said. You want to watch language?
Well, that's not nonsense, what I just said. That's the truth.
Yeah, okay. I'm in my 8th term, or my 8th year, not 6th.
7th.
8th. All right, enough. That did give me some humor, so. Next would be reports and communications. I guess I'll start out with it now. For the last few days, I've been bombarded with phone calls about what's happening with parks and the farms and other things. I'll go into detail with you. But Steve, I do have a couple concerns. And as you asking for the who's forged it, I don't know. You guys decided to spend $3,800 to figure out who signed it. So who did sign it? I sure as hell didn't. So, and I'm not making up anything. And I also knew probably 3 or 4 weeks before, because that's the first time I saw the paper. So, but Steve, I have some other concerns. With the Welter farm, and that trying to have a bunch of houses put on it, it's wrong. It's not our property. It is not this village's property. That is the property of the people of Homer Glen. Paul Farm, Purdy Farm, Trantina Farm. You're trying to get rid of all the things that this Homer Glen is built, and way before Homer Glen. I don't understand why you want to sell something and you don't have the right to do it. I'd love to see a lawyer. So you're saying this is the best lawyer over here. Let him prove to us that that's his property. I'd like to see that. You know, with what he's trying to do right now with the property, what kind of blows me away is 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, when Pam Myers was still in office, I went to a bunch of the meetings that you were at, and Jennifer, and for those meetings, all I ever saw is you beating up her, telling her she can't do this, she can't do that. I never heard Pam one time ever say that she wanted to build anything on it. She thought about it. She didn't say she wanted to build it. So what I don't understand now is with you having your meeting last night and some of the people calling me and telling me what you had said, if it was so important that Pam couldn't build, what makes you different? I just don't understand how you can just take something, say it's yours. And it's the same thing with the parks. When we voted on the parks, I don't know why we took them, because we already had them in the park and we didn't have to pay for them. But now what we do have to do is we have to pay to maintain them. And Steve's saying that he eliminated the tax in the township. Yes, he did. But now the township, they put the bills on us and we're paying the taxes. So it doesn't make any sense to me that, you know, if you're trying to help people, be straight up. You know, if you screw up, you admit it. But a lot of the things that are happening right now, it's not truthful. And that's what we're here for. And for all the people that have, well, very few have ever said I'm a politician, because I'm not a politician. I am a public servant. I ran because things I saw I didn't like and I thought I could make them better. This is what I'm trying to do now, but you have some people that's, and I'd be more than happy to answer any question you got on it, because then I'll ask you some questions too. All we're here for is for the residents. We're here for the residents of Homer Glen, which is very important. They're the ones that mean the most to me, besides my family. It's a shame of what does happen, what's said, what's done. I don't understand how something as easy of a job it is to do what's right for this village. Then I also heard through the grapevine that Lockport said that if you decided to do anything to those farms, they will not help you one iota. They won't help you with sewers, they won't help you with water. There's a lot of people that are mad because, Steve, when you came up here before, and Gail Snyder was talking, she wasn't interrupted at all here. But when they go to the meetings that you've been, I've gone to a couple of your meetings. I stopped going to them because it gave me heart palpitations because I'm thinking, what the hell are you doing? So I just think some things have to change. We have people on this board that can actually do what we're supposed to do. Now we just have to get everyone to do it. And quit making up stuff because it's horrible. And no, I haven't had an affair lately either. Because the last time I was having an affair. So, you know, you guys just make up things, and you make up things about a lot of people. There's a policeman that has it, that they did it to too. That is just downright nasty. So, with that being said, I'll go over to the next. We'll go to the trustee and we'll start on your side. Who's going to be the trustee Consolino?
Good evening, everybody. First and foremost, I want to start out with saying thank you very much to Sue Stylen for all her hard work that she did with our Senior Expo, for all the hard work she's done for all of our events over the years. Her dedication, not only to this village, but to this community, definitely needs to be acknowledged. We hate to see her go. She resigned this week, but we wish her very well in her endeavors ahead, and that she will be greatly missed. So thank you again for Sue. I also would like to say thank you to Ronald Cuss and Tony Drapik for stepping up to plate and applying for our EMA team. You're greatly needed, and I look forward to your possible appointments tonight. I'd also like to bring up, I'll bring it up under something else, but I went to the Senior Expo, I assisted with the Senior Expo. I just want to give kudos again to everybody that participated. I love seeing a joint effort between the village and the township, and I look forward to seeing more of that. And that's all I have to report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Lahat?
Thank you. I also want to say thank you to Sue. I've had the opportunity to work very closely with her the last year and a half, and she is above and beyond of what is required of her. So I'm going to miss her work ethic and her kindness and just her passion for this community. So I also would like to report on behalf of the Ability Awareness Committee. I'd like to say September is Deaf Awareness Month, and International Day of Sign Language is September 23rd. We have what I like to call her Homer Glen's sign language coach. Her name is Dawn Marek, and she not only helped me personally be able to sign recently, but she also helped the community learn some basic sign language a few months ago. So I'd like to have her back, but I just wanted to publicly acknowledge that September is Deaf Awareness Month. We will also be planning our next roundtable discussion, and the topic will be, there's two things. We're going to divide it in half. We're going to be talking about the Will County services that are available for disabled and special needs individuals, and we're also going to be talking the legal side of things, setting up a trust, setting up your future for your young adults who may be hitting that 22-year-old mark, where then what? So we would like to host a roundtable to help you, kind of guide you and have some legal legal advice there. We also will be volunteering again for the Best Buddies event in October. So if you're interested in volunteering with us, please reach out. We'd love to have you. And let's see, plastic caps. We have concluded our plastic caps collection. I heard somewhere around 800 pounds were collected, which is huge. So congratulations, thank you to everybody who dropped them off. Thank you to Karen Adamczyk, who kind of did the dirty job of taking care of them, and I know some of the village staff are going to be excited to know that we no longer have to collect those in the front. So unfortunately, the benches that they were collecting for are no longer collecting or providing benches. So we are going to be probably recycling them. So if anybody knows anybody who would like 800 pounds of plastic caps, please let me know. I have a whole bunch for you. And that is it. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Long. Trustee Rogers.
I just want to say fall is here, and that means a lot of excitement for Homer Glen. As a village, we're very blessed to have some of the best fall attractions I consider in the state. And I just want to encourage everyone to stop by, these locations, several different places to get your mums, get some pumpkins, do some rides, and encourage your family and friends to do that, because that only helps us. People come from different villages, they get an opportunity to see Homer Glen, all that we have to offer, and they shop here while they're here, and they eat here while they're here, so that only benefits us. So I just want to say I'm excited for fall in Homer Glen. To me, it's the best time of year. On Monday, I had the privilege of attending the American Legion meeting with Clerk Knightsky-Troicki and Michelle, I'm going to say her name wrong, Kerfin of State Farm. And I just want to, again, talk about the fact that that this is here. We do recognize it, the Legion, as our Legion. They're always looking for people. So if you know of veterans, encourage them even to just come and visit one of the meetings and see the great things these guys are doing. Year to date, they've donated over $9,000 to various charities, and they're really looking for bodies. They need people to attend to keep this going. So if the best way to get in touch with them is through their website, so it's just AmericanLegionPost211.com. And I want to reiterate that Sue will be a great loss to this village. She was just a hard worker. She started off as a volunteer and then just kind of became an invaluable asset to the village, and always smiling, just a great person, and she will greatly be missed and hard to be replaced. So, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Piazmino.
Thank you, sir. I got a few things. First and foremost, thank you to Trustee Bonomo, Supervisor Ballage, and the Senior Committee for the Township. The events that you did were spectacular. They were amazing. They were very active, and I'll be honest, I don't go to many senior events, but a lot of the events I do go to, I don't really dance, and I actually danced at the senior event. It was actually pretty good, so thank you for that. Reporting for the CED committee, we went over a few things, some of the most important, different options for business assistance programs, existing ones for Homer, and possible ideas from other villages and jurisdictions, so that's coming up. We also discussed SOP 7, which is a business tax incentive that is meant, well, the one we have now is kind of meant more for big box. So we were thinking of doing something more for smaller businesses. So that's, those are things that we're working on now. Maybe a couple different scales, a couple different levels. And this is more to entice smaller business to come in, because we all know right now is not the market for small business to create a business. So we want to make it so that it is. As far as Environment Committee, we have a few events coming up. This Saturday, we have the Hike and Haul Public Days Cleanup. It's at 12 noon, and the meeting place is at Culver Park off of Parker Road. So we'll provide the bags, the pickers, the tools. All you need is your energy. Come on down and help us pick up the trash all over. And then our stargazing event on Friday, September 30th,
Starts at 6:30 in the community room, which is right behind you guys, for our local amateur astronomers and people who aren't into astronomy but like to see stars. There will also be nighttime animals from Big Run Ranch and a telescope setup and stargazing from 8 to 10 p.m. Remember, Homer has a lot of events, especially now coming for the fall, into Christmas. Any questions? Trunk or treat, that's a big one. That was very fun. A lot of them. So basically, if you want to know them all, go to www.homerglenil.org. That's all I have, sir.
Good evening, everybody. For my report tonight, I would just like to thank the senior committee and the volunteers for their hard work and dedication that they put into this event. This was the first expo, and it was such a success, and it was all due to the hard work of the people that were working there. The seniors who attended, they were elated, and they had nothing but nice things to say to everybody. They were just, they couldn't believe all the information that was given out to them. So I just really want to thank everybody for that, for all the hard work. There were over 50 vendors there, and we had in attendance more than 150 people. And for our first expo, that was pretty good. And I think a few people had gone to the expo in Lamont. I think, Cindy, you had gone to one, and they had nowhere near as many people as we had on our first event. So I would say it was a huge success. I also want to give special thanks to Mike Bonomo and to Sue Stylen. Mike, I know this was your baby, and you brought it to fruition. And you and Sue kept us on task. I mean, they were so organized, it was unbelievable. So I just want to give a thanks to that. And I am so proud of Mike. Many of you don't know, but I am Mike's cousin. His mom and my dad were brother and sister. So our family is so proud of you for the hard work that you're doing in this community, and you deserve a hand for that. I'd also like to say that this was a perfect example of what happens when people work together. The township and the village have been at odds for many, many years. And for this event, everybody came together in unity and harmony for this village and for this township and for the seniors. And I can't wait for next year, and I can't wait for any other ideas our committee is going to be bringing together to benefit the seniors of Homer Glen and Homer Township. And also, for the senior bingos, there's been some questions on whether or not other people from other communities can participate. Absolutely. The more the merrier. We welcome everybody. Lamont, New Lenox, Lockport, whoever would like to participate. And another bit of good news I'd like to share with everybody is that Sue and I am going to miss Sue probably the most out of a lot of people. And I don't want to get choked up, but her and I have worked together on so many different projects, and we're currently working on workshops for the seniors for once a month starting in January. We want to put a workshop together where they have a place to come and learn. I know there was a wealth of information at the Senior Expo, but sometimes it got a little difficult because there were so many people at one booth trying to get information. So we promised that we would actually do something more on an individual basis with the village and with the township, where maybe we could share events. So 1 month it would be at the village and 1 month it would be at the township. And we would bring information to them. We would bring a speaker in, let them give them the information they're looking for, and we're going to let them be the driving force on this and let them tell us what they need to, what information they're looking for. So, so I was real happy about that, and they're real happy. And like I said, I will miss Sue desperately. That's my report.
Thank you. Last would be Trustee Fielder.
All right, just to change the channel for a moment here. On Sunday was September 11th, 21 years ago when that event took place. So if we could please all just have a moment of silence for the victims from September 11th. Thank you. Next, just reporting for the fest. Carmen Morales started the process for looking into a grant for the fest. The grant has a range of anywhere from $10,000 to $1 million, and I believe we're asking for money at the lower end of that. We'll see what happens. The other thing is I'd like to say is happy birthday to Trustee Casalino, who had her birthday on September 7th. And also, I'd like to congratulate Mike Bonomo, Cindy Lahat, and Sue Stalin were the main hub to the senior event. Everybody's talked about it tonight. There are always people that are going to criticize things out there. Mike, I know that some people were saying things, but keep your chin up, walk forward, and I can't wait till next year.
Yeah.
With all the things that were said out on Facebook, which was shameful, I don't very often go on Facebook to post too many things, except to congratulate people or to compliment the business that's invested in Homer Glen. But the one thing I did post is I'm very proud of, similar to the fest, the village and the township got together with the different entities from both sides and worked together like never before for the fest and for the senior fest. So the one thing I did post out there the other day, and I was a little passionate about it at the time, I guess, when I put it together, but I said, we the people, to form a more perfect union of township and village, by the people and for the people of Homer Glen, with unity, compassion, and the promise to fix where we live, one soul at a time. And I don't think we could have had a better example than the senior committee and what took place this past weekend. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fialko.
Mayor, I'm sorry, one thing I forgot to mention is that we do have the Scarecrow Walk again this year, and you can pick up the sticks here at the Village Hall, and more information. So you build your own scarecrow, we put them on display out there, and there's a contest, so you can get more information on it on the village's website.
I got one more thing. I'm sorry. We have so many events. So this Saturday, Dan Kenny, wonderful Dan Kenny, is having a shredding event at Ruby Agave this Saturday at 12 noon. I think it's from 12 to 2. So, yeah, go there, shred it all. Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right.
That's it for me, sir.
Thank you. Next will be village clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have a report, but I would like to thank Trustee Fialko for that moment of silence. I do think many people forget what took place on 9/11, so that moment of silence meant something. And then, yes, the Senior Expo was awesome. Good job to the senior committee. They did a great job. There were a lot of happy seniors. That's my report. Thanks, Mayor.
Village attorneys, Eric, do you have anything?
No report, Your Honor.
Carrie, do you have anything?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to go to the voting.
First, I believe Mr. Carlson asked a question, why 2 lawyers? Well, I don't have the answer to that question, but I was once told by a very wise lawyer, as he was getting ready to retire, he said, always remember this, a town without lawyers has plenty, but a town with 1 lawyer needs 20. So with that, that may help you to answer your question, why 2 here. On a more serious note, and I may be able to answer your second question as well, and that is, who signed the application for the liquor license, for the special event liquor license for the fest that was to be conducted in June of this year. Before I dive into it, if you'll recall, in July of this year, the board hired KDX Forensic Consulting and Kevin Kilbaki to conduct a handwriting examination and comparison of the signature of Mayor Yukich on the May 11th, 2022 application for the State of Illinois special event liquor license to determine whether or not it was signed by Mayor Yukich.
Before I summarize the report, which I will then pass out at the end of the report, I'm going to pass out the CD, or we're going to be an executive summary of Mr. Kowalski's achievements and credentials. Mr. Kowalski was hired with the authorization of the board, and I want to highlight a couple of his achievements and certifications. First, he's a certified diplomate of the American Board of Forensic Document Examiners. Before beginning his business as KDX Consulting, he worked for 6 years for the IRS Criminal Investigations. Prior to that, he worked as a senior criminalist for the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. He currently teaches a course at Loyola University in Chicago, Introduction to Pattern Evidence, and he's chairman of the Forensic Document Examiner, consensus body of the American Academy of Forensic Science. He also has a master's degree in forensic science. And presently, he does, when asked, do analysis for the Illinois State Police, who would, if asked by the Will County Sheriff, probably have referred the question of the signature and the documentation to him for analysis. So he's highly credentialed, and over the period of time, beginning with his retainer and through September 8th, he analyzed the signature, he did a document examination, and on September 8th, he prepared a written report, which consists of approximately 107 pages. There's a 4-page written report, and then there are signature specimens, along with all of the documentation he reviewed. I'll summarize. He first compared the signature on the application, the one that was in question, to 50 known signatures of Mayor Yukich. Most of those signatures came from documents that were ordinances or resolutions for this village. Some were from letters, but nonetheless, they were all originals. And he had the original application because we were able to obtain the original application from the Illinois Liquor Control Commission, who, because they were aware of the circumstances leading up to this, preserved it and were kind enough to allow us to use it for examination. His first finding, after comparing the signatures on the application to the 50 signatures on the comparative documents, was that the signature was not the product of another person's natural handwriting. He did this because he had to eliminate at some point in time what he calls simulation, but what's probably more commonly referred to as forgery. Someone writing a signature that is not theirs. So, after making that first determination, he then found that the signature must either be genuine or an attempt to simulate, or he questioned, is it genuine or is it an attempt to simulate or forge? He reviewed the signatures and found that the the application in question contained no less than 14 significant similarities to the signatures on the 50 documents it was compared to. He itemized them as letters A through N, but did not limit it. And he did not qualify his report or limit his report. After making that comparison, all right, he found that the signature was free from any noted characterizations of simulation or forgery. Okay? So he eliminated forgery. Once he eliminated forgery, once he completed his comparison, he reviewed, and a review of the documents that he was presented with, all original documents and all randomly selected, but all with your signature, which, by the way, he found you have a very stylized signature, which means, in effect, like so many others, there's no one character letter that you can pick out, okay? But he found, and I'll read his finding, because I want to be fair to you, Mayor Yukich. But I also want to be fair to the people that work in this village and to the village. He said, the cumulative combination of the significant similarities noted above, those are the 14 I just referred to, and they're in the report, and you can all read the report. And the absence of characteristics indicative of simulation, forgery, provides sufficient evidence to determine that it is probable that George Yukich did write the questioned George Yukich signature appearing on item 1. So, that's his conclusion. And I've heard you reiterate again this evening your denial. Well, he stands by that conclusion. He will testify to that conclusion. And so I think at a minimum, perhaps you might be able to explain to the people in this village, the people on this board, and the people that work here what happened. That's my report. I have nothing else to say, but I would like to, I will circulate at this point in time the report from this gentleman. The village manager has the full 107-page report. I did not reproduce all of the documents that he reviewed, which comprise the bulk of the report, but the manager has that if you care to look at it.
May I add something, Council?
Ask me anything you want. I don't know if I can answer it.
Well, let's try. Being that the facts were found by the investigation here, and now that that's been completed, could we make sure that we ask Will County to also take this information, include it in their investigation, and use it as part of their evidence, and come into a resolution or to a solution as to their investigation? Because I haven't heard anything from them in regards to where they're at in their process. And the same amount of time, matter of fact, they've had more time than this company. So I don't know where we're at with it on their side, but I would like this information to be included to that investigation.
You can ask me.
Who's the
Well,
liar now?
I'm asking if you can make that, I mean, you've handled the legal end of it all this time, to reach out to them and to make sure.
I'll send them a copy of the report.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I've sent you, handed out to all of you the report, a copy of the original application that was submitted. You can draw your own conclusions, but I'll rely on Mr. Pavani.
Does anybody want to go into executive session right now? Or do you want to continue?
Well, Michelle Mullins has something to write about this week, I guess. And all the facts are there for her to use.
Public safety officials. Jeff?
John, as long as we're on Jeff, could I ask him one question so I don't have to do it under old business? Okay, good.
I have no report, Mayor.
Now on the consent agenda. Consider for approval the accounts payable for a period of August 26, 2022 and September 15, 2022 in the amount of $197,901.16.
So move.
A second.
I'm sorry, I only heard a first. Is there a second about trustee?
And second, Sue.
Trustee Rogers.
Legislation next. You haven't called the roll, please.
Trustee Laha.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Rogers.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino. Trustee Fialco.
Aye.
And Trustee Pazmino.
Aye.
Consider for approval of payment of the Village of Homer Glen July legal bills from legislative attorney Olson, Sturt, Murphy, Frazier, and McGrath Limited in the amount of $9,466.25.
So move.
A second.
Discussion. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Rogers.
No.
Trustee Pazmino.
Yes.
Trustee Laha.
Aye.
Trustee Fialco.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino. And Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 2, consider for approval payment of the Village of Homer Glen's July legal bills from Mahoney, Silverman, and Cross LLC in the amount of $3,363.75.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
I had a question on an invoice that was put through, or a line item in that invoice that was put through for July 12th, 2022. Research the limitations on trustees serving as plan commission as related to compliance with ordinance and due process, correspondence with EPH on the same. Can I get clarification on what that was for?
If you recall, there was an ordinance that stated that if the plan commission did not have any members, you as the board members, as the trustees, would serve in that role. We were taking a look to make sure there's no conflict of interest, whether there's an issue where, in terms of due process, somebody comes before the plan commission, and it's the board serving in that position, are they getting a fair deal then when it comes to the board, because you've already heard it?
So what was the answer? Everything was
It was
good?
all good?
All right. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Pazmino.
Aye.
Trustee Laha.
Aye.
Trustee Fialco.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino. Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
And Trustee Rogers.
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider for approval of mayor's appointment of Laura Lewis Ventura to serve as a member of the village's planning commission.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Is she here?
Yes, she's here.
Would you like to say anything?
Sure, give me an opportunity to stand and talk, that's not a problem. Yeah, no, I just wanted to say thank you for that. I have served on the incorporation committee. A very short time we had the architectural review committee. I was 10 years on the community and economic development committee, and I've lived in Homer Glen almost 28 years, and I've been a realtor 36. So I think that I have a lot to bring to the committee and help to try to help shape Homer Glen. I have a lot of interest in it, so I'm excited to see what we can do together.
We're happy to have you.
Yes, we are happy to have you. And thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you for stepping up and volunteering. You know, in a world where we can't get people to work for a paycheck, and for all these volunteers lately that are all coming together to make this community whole, I thank you for doing that and stepping up, because it is a lot of hard work.
Let's vote.
Let's get the vote.
Let's vote.
Okay, read into it a little bit.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino? Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
And Trustee Pasmino?
Aye.
Congratulations.
Calling number 4, consider for approval the mayor's appointment of John Hand to serve as vice chairman of the village's planning commission. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Is he here?
John, are you here? He was able to make it. All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Can we just update Jennifer or Trustee Consolino where we're at?
John Hand.
John Hand.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Pasmino?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
And Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 3, consider for approval the mayor's appointment of Beth Burton to serve as the chairperson of the village's planning commission.
So moved.
I'll second.
Discussion?
I think I saw it. Do you want to say anything?
Hi, thank you, everybody. And thank you for the consideration for Chairman of the Plan Commission. It's been my honor to serve the community since 2017 under 3 chairmen who I learned quite a bit from during that time, as well as my fellow Plan Commission members. I'm happy to work with and have a great relationship with the village staff, specifically Director King and Assistant Director Udarbe, and it's been a great experience, and I look forward to continuing to serve the village. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
Trustee Consolino?
No.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Pasmino?
No.
Trustee Fielko?
No.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
And Trustee Reinders?
No.
I would like to give a little bit of advice maybe that you could do. You were upset about concerns in the past with people in Facebook and things that they say. And I believe this was looked into a little bit here from the past. I would like to suggest that you take a closer look at Jay Broderick to be the chair. I know you make that decision, and we approve it in the long run, but if you could take maybe a closer look at him, maybe we could get this headed in the right direction.
Honestly, what Beth has done wrong, so you're going to say that because something was put on Facebook, but there's a lot of errors on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And what offended you?
I didn't say that. I got phone calls in regards to it. I haven't looked into it. I'm just telling you, giving you information. You were upset about somebody else in the past about being on Facebook, and this is similar. So if you can't have it both ways, I guess. And I would look into that yourself if you want to investigate it. But I'm just giving advice if I could, and if you could take a closer look at Jay Broderick, who's been here for many, many, many years previous to his appointment a couple meetings ago. That might be some direction we could go in.
This guy's right now because it doesn't have a vote for it, and it's something on the
Okay.
All right, Beth. consider for approval ordinance number 22034, an ordinance amending Exhibit A to ordinance number 1061, entitled the ordinance creating the position of ESDA coordinator and establishing the duties thereof.
So moved.
I'll second.
Wait, who?
Jennifer had first, I had
Okay, all right.
Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Hold on 1 second, please. Okay, I'm good. Thank you for pausing.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye?
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Pasmino?
Aye.
And Trustee Cancelino?
Aye.
Carries. Next, consider for approval the appointment of Ronald Cuss as a new emergency management agency coordinator.
So moved.
I'll second.
Discussion? Did everyone get a chance to meet him tonight?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Oh, you didn't? I did.
Is he here?
Ron, did you want to step up to the podium, introduce yourself to the board?
Nice to meet everybody. My name's Ron Cuss, also referred to as Big Red if that's easier. But depending on how you guys vote tonight, look forward to working with everybody.
Anyone have any questions?
No, I see you come
No.
with a great background.
Yes.
Thank you for being part of the application process. Thank you for being here.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Pasmino?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Cancelino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
And Trustee Fielko?
Aye?
Welcome aboard.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Next, consider for approval the appointment of Tony Gray as an emergency management agency member.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion?
I would just like to say that I'm glad that we have Tony on board. He's been a volunteer in this community for so many different events. I think he's very well deserving of this position.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Cancelino?
Aye.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye?
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Pasmino?
Aye.
And Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Number 9 is tabled. Consider for approval ordinance number 22-036, request for one, variance to increase the maximum permitted square footage of the accessory structure from the allowed 1,200 square feet to 1,728 square feet. Variance to increase the permitted height of the accessory structure from 15 feet to 17 feet 6 inches. And 3, a variance to reduce the required side yard building setback from 20 feet to 13 feet for certain real property located in R2 single-family residential districts, 13645 West Bloomington Trail, Homer Glen, Illinois, HG 2212-B.
So moved. Second. Ladies first. You can have it.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Discussion?
Melissa, do you have anything to add to this?
I do not, unless you have questions for me.
Is there anybody here that would like to speak on behalf of this project? No? Okay.
I'd like to speak against it.
Pardon me?
I haven't signed in, but I'd like to speak against it.
That's okay.
That's
She
okay, you
asked
can-
to come up.
Yeah, you could, sir, you can come up to the podium.
Is your name Clyde?
Yes.
This is a different variance, Mr. Stevens.
Oh.
Yeah, this is right.
You're next.
Hang on just a second.
Hold that thought.
Okay, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Fielko?
Are we done as far as talking about this subject?
Yeah.
And Melissa,
Doesn't have anything.
Director King, you have no input on this at all that you'd like to add in addition to what hasn't been said, I guess?
On the 13645 Chicago Bloomington Trail variance?
Yes.
I do not have any additional commentary unless you have specific questions about this one. There's two of these. Are you referring?
We're on I-10.
Okay.
Okay, and it looks like the Planning Commission voted 4-0 to adopt this. This is a big change, but I have total confidence in the Planning Commission and their judgment. So that'd be all from me, sir.
Yeah, I also see that this has been granted at least 5 times, so something similar to this at least.
Any other questions, concerns? You want to call the roll?
Sure. Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
And Trustee Pasmino?
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 11, consider approval ordinance number 22-037, a request for 1, a variance to increase maximum permitted square footage of an accessory structures from 800 square feet to 3,650 square feet. 2, a variance to increase the maximum permitted height of the accessory structure from 15 feet to 18 feet. And 3, a variance to the stormwater management section of the land use and the site development code to reduce the required development setback from the wetland from 75 feet to 10 feet for certain property located in R2A single-family residential zoning district at 13304 and 13306 Doty Lane, Homer Glen, Illinois, case number HG 2203V. Do I have a motion?
Do we want to put the conditions in there or no? Read it in the conditions that are beneath it? No?
That's up to you guys.
Well, no, there's 3 conditions beneath there, A, B, and C.
I think so, yeah.
It's not in that, but it's on
So you'd start from subject to the following.
Well, this, are there any things that are bothering you on this one except for the,
We don't have a first and a second.
Trustee, maybe if you can make the motion and incorporate that in your motion, those conditions, please.
Okay. All right. I'll make that motion, and with that motion, I'd like to include it, subject to the following conditions. A, that the owner consolidates lot 14 and 15 of the Pine Springs Creek subdivision through the administrative minor consolidation process. B, that no additional driveway and curb cut be allowed from Doty Lane. And C, that lot 15 woodland buffer be maintained as is. And I will make that I made the motion and read that, so we need a second, correct?
I'll second.
okay.
All right. I'd like to start the discussion on this because I spent a lot of time on this today. And we as a board are try to work with everybody in our community to help out however we can. And in this case here, I just want to quickly, for one, I'll first give the bad things, then first let me give the good things. If you could, we pulled it up on the property here, or on the screen here for everybody, and if you look at the PIN number here to the left, I just lost it.
There we go, we're good.
Okay, the PIN number to the left on lot 14, where the house is at, it's a huge piece of property. And then it's gone. Is it bigger now?
It's the same.
And then to the right is the second property, both owned by Mr. Fensel. They're not combined yet, and there are some concerns about the size of the structure to be put on this property, and there are some people in support of letting the structure go on this property. One of the conditions in here consolidates lot 14 and 15 though, and my research today, I went to Will County GIS mapping, and lot 14, everything is okay there tax-wise, but lot 15, the taxes have not been paid on that property yet. I made 2 phone calls today to confirm that, and so what I'd like to do is table this and let them take and make sure that they've got the taxes paid up to date on lot 15. And then once that's done, I think they ought to consolidate and then bring it back to us, because that's kind of the promise there. There was a driveway that was installed there that there was no permit. It wasn't a small driveway or a couple paver bricks. It was a couple 100 feet into the yard. Melissa, is that correct? I don't know if we have an exact footage, but not that that can't be worked around, but there's a couple things that are adding up here that, that piece of property in the back. Mr. Fensel, is that how you pronounce your name? Mr. Fensel? Is there, with that barn that's in the back, is there anybody living in that unit back there?
I am Mr. Fensel.
Yes, I know.
There is nobody living back there. I don't know where that came from, but never has.
You're right, and that's why I want to clear it up with you. So nobody lives in that parcel of...
No one ever has, and no
Okay.
one ever would.
All right, that clears that up. And right now, the size of that is pretty big, and now this other structure seems to be really big, but if it's over 5 acres, what you're doing is acceptable. Right now, we have to put this variance in, so it would be my suggestion to this board that you pay the taxes on lot 15, get that cleared up, and then from there, consolidate the two properties and then bring it back to us. But by us sending it back to the Planning Commission, makes it so you do not have to pay the fee again. But if we vote on it tonight and it gets voted down because some of the things that are going on right now, you would have to go through that process all over again. So my recommendation to the board, after I looked over this whole packet and took up a good portion of my day, would be to send this back to the Planning Commission. You guys take care of your end of it, and then come back once that's sealed up.
May I address the board?
Absolutely.
Yeah. My name is Patrick Whiteduck, attorney for Mr. Fensel. Thank you for allowing me to speak. The bill was paid today. I do have proof of it if you'd like to see it. You can also go online and check that too. The parcel to the right,
Lot 15?
Lot 15 doesn't have a mailbox, so apparently they had been sending the tax bills to that address, and no one lives there. There's no house there, there's no mailbox there. So that was remedied today. They notified Will County of that, and they paid the bill online, and I have the receipt here today. So that's been paid. But as to the consolidation, Will County instructed us to get the approval from the village first, and then they're the ones who are going to consolidate the two lots together. So we're coming here first, per their protocol, to get the approval from the board in order to build this structure, and then we can then go to Will County, and then they will consolidate the two lots. The pins will be combined, the addresses will be combined.
Yeah.
Can I add just a staff opinion on this?
Before you do, though, could I please ask Eric, who is he's involved in real estate and a lot of is this the right path to take? Either what I'm saying or what he is proposing?
I would also like to point out that I do a lot of municipal work too, besides real estate.
Yes,
but
okay, yeah,
what he is proposing is the legally appropriate way of handling it. Correct.
To actually
get the approval here, because otherwise the consolidation.
Okay.
The county wouldn't recognize it because the variance, it would be in violation of your variances in order to consolidate.
Carmen, can I ask you that question? Is that the proper way to do this? As the assessor?
County will look at the municipality first before they'll consolidate.
Okay, thank you.
Also, when you want to consolidate, they ask for the signed ordinance.
I think the biggest thing for me were the taxes. You took care of it.
Yes.
And it seems the consensus is to go through the municipality first. We don't want to be that barrier for you to take care of what you got to take care of, so.
Thank you.
Is there an HOA on that property? Because in here, there was something talked about the covenants. And now the covenants, I haven't had time to review that document. I did not have access to it. First, question one, is there an HOA involved in, now you're the end property on the end of Doty. So really, you don't have anybody that close to you like the rest of these houses do down when you travel down Doty to get there. You're the end. You have a huge piece of property. You have 2 parcels there. When combined, it is over 6 acres. So you have a huge piece of land. You've got the wetlands behind you and everything else. But what I want to know for Doty Lane, is there an HOA?
Not currently, and not for over 20 years.
Okay. And as far as the covenants, that there were some of the complaints in this, in the emails and at the meetings that it violated the covenants. Are you familiar with the covenants on that property?
Not as in-depth to address that. I think the comment made from one of the residents at the Plan Commission meeting was that the covenants are supposed to keep the area foresty, and that the objection is that building this structure at the back of the property, buried in the middle of the forest that can't even be seen, would somehow run against the covenants, and I didn't find that anywhere.
Melissa, you were able to get a hold of the covenants today. Did you see anything in there that would cause us a problem to approve this and then find out through the covenants that there would be some issue that would bring this back to the board?
So what I found today indicated some restrictions on materials. So for accessory structures, that they must match the principal structure. That variance is not in front of this board tonight, so that's an administrative process for accessory structures. That would end with Carmen's decision. The other thing I did find, you did ask me about restrictions on people living in the structures, and I did find that tonight after rereading it, just sitting here, so there is a restriction. That does align with our code though, because we don't allow people to live and occupy accessory structures. So that would be the same regulation the village would have. And then there is some reference in here to keeping the property forested and in an environmental way. But the variances that are in front of you, there's not that I can see any location restrictions or size restrictions or number of structure restrictions in these restrictions. I also don't know if we have obviously two attorneys here, if they have a opinion on where the village lies when we have covenants like this and what the village's jurisdiction is over these types of covenants, because the variances being requested from the applicant really are based on our own village code ordinances, and if there's no HOA and no one managing this covenant, I think it would end up becoming potentially, I guess, a civil lawsuit. I'm not sure exactly what would happen if the residents in the area that are all apart,
Do HOAs regulate the covenants though? Is that?
Typically, yes. If there isn't, yeah.
So Eric, should we table this till you to review the covenants, or are you thinking we're okay to move forward with this?
You're okay to move forward because the covenants, if there's some sort of restriction on there that the HOA would seek to enforce, then that would be in their court to do so.
I also want to add, I see 6 letters of surrounding residents that are okay with this.
But there are some that are not.
There's one in here that is not, yes.
I think there's a few.
In this packet, I see one.
There's a few more than one, but it's pretty balanced with what's going on in there.
I have one.
But that piece of property is huge. I mean, especially after you combine it. And I believe we've done this for other parcels this large. So,
yes.
I have a question on the trees. How many trees are they going to take down to build the structure?
So there will be no additional removal. When this occurred and they came in to pull the permit for the structure, this is when we initiated the process for this, the variance request. And at that time, Logan with HR Green and myself and Roger Ross, who's our arborist, went to the site to visit with Mr. Fensel and see what had occurred and kind of develop our next steps and process, right? And on that job site, when we went to that meeting, Roger and I determined that, the gravel driveway was in, and it had been in for a period of time, and there was no record of what had been in that place. So we didn't have a record of what had been removed and what trees were there. So Roger and I just determined that we assumed that what was in there was exactly the same as the rest of the tree cover. And it ended up being, what we did is more of like an average and a percentage based on aerial coverage. And it was really almost about maybe 10% of the area, which is well under our regulation for removal, which is 50% of significant trees. Okay. And so Roger didn't feel like, neither did I, felt like we needed to go any further with review so long as no additional tree removal was going to occur.
I have a question about the driveway. If it's saying that there could be no curb cut allowed from Doty Lane, this driveway that we're looking at on here, Is it just, it's basically is going to stay back there? There's nothing going to come anything forward to Doty Lane?
No, and actually, when the condition that's on here that Trustee Fialco read actually was added by the Plan Commission.
Right.
They wanted to restrict any additional access to that, to Doty Lane.
So you will only be able to access it through however you get to that house?
Correct.
Okay.
And they also wanted to maintain that buffer out front so that they're not allowed to remove any more trees around the cul-de-sac.
I have a question about number 3, though. With the setback in the wetland, we know that at times we've had problems with drainage and water, and they're asking to go from 75 feet to 10 feet. Now, a lot of times I'll go out and take a look at things. I did not go out to this piece of property to see what I'm asking about, but do we see this as an issue in the future with flooding of any kind, not even for others, but for themselves, where we're going to be asked to try and do something because now that development was built with this variance that we would possibly give. I mean, it almost seems like it would be prudent on our behalf to make sure that should there be any flooding on that structure or to that structure or any damage, that this village is held harmless.
The engineering, the delineation, the grading plan, everything that's been presented has been reviewed by our third-party engineer. They've recommended to our staff, myself and Planning and Zoning, approval of this. If the village board is okay with the structure itself, they just don't want them to move this driveway anywhere else because there would be additional impact, obviously, to trees and also grading. If you can notice on page 6 of the staff item, you'll see that the wetland buffer encroachment is really just in one small area where the delineation comes to within 10 feet of that driveway that was installed. The rest of the buffer is well within our regulation that's in our code.
So basically, to sum it up, you're saying that from 75 feet to 10 feet, and that for number 3, you're okay with it?
That is what is being recommended by our engineers.
No, I know that. I know that. Okay. Could we have something drawn up in the meantime, and I can possibly make that motion to include it, to hold us harmless in regards to number 3, and anything that could happen after that? Go ahead.
You have immunity, tort immunity, under the issuance of, under the Illinois.
The village does with giving this, okay, just as long as I know that we're protected.
You're not doing anything other than granting a variance per this ordinance. You're not creating.
No, the only reason I ask is because of the situation we have to the north here with the other thing that Jennifer worked on for a long time with the folks to the north and the flooding that was going on there and the pieces of property that were built on. And now we're given a variance for something that it says, you know, from a wetland, right? So there's water at some one time or another there's water. But if you're saying we're already held harmless, and that's okay, then I'm good with that. But I just want to protect this village from any future types of case that somebody would say they're being flooded now, and we allowed it.
You're not held harmless, but you're not doing anything that would result in liability to the village. You're not doing anything to the land. You're essentially giving them permission to vary requirements of your ordinance with respect to a number of things, but one of them is the extension of this, what do you call this?
This is a delineated wetland, and our requirement is 75 feet from a buffer, right? From the wetland delineation. In this one spot, it goes down to 10 feet. And you can see this delineation goes way off, and so the buffer everywhere else is being met.
If you want them to enter into such an agreement, you can ask them to prepare that. But I think what they're saying, what Mr. Hanson has said, and what the planner is saying, is that they need the variance first to go forward to the county to request the consolidation of the two lots, which is essentially what you're asking them to do. If you want them to issue a letter to you telling you that they will hold the village of Homer Glen harmless with respect to the extension of the buffer, I mean, I don't know what to tell you there.
I agree with council's assessment that the village, I don't think there is even a scenario I can think of where anyone could sue the village for this. And the area, the small area that's the 10 feet away is a driveway area. This is not close to any structure. So I don't know. Certainly Mr. Fensel, while he owns the property, if that area of his this is the driveway linking to the main driveway.
Would you have
floods.
a problem of putting that letter together just as a little extra layer of comfort for the board here?
If that's what the board would like us to do, yeah.
Without amending, we are okay to do that with just his word that he's going to do that, right?
You can do that.
Okay. I think as a board, we would appreciate that, just so we know we've...
Can we still, are we still going to vote on and pass the measure, or do we have to?
We're about to get there.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
That would be everything I've got, sir.
The plan commission was 4-2 on this, right, Melissa?
Correct.
It just, to me, seems really excessive for a variance to go from 800 to, 3,650. The one prior, we're just talking about a couple hundred feet. This just, to me, seems really excessive. If all of the neighbors had no problem with it, then that would be different for me. I'd also like to hear from the gentleman in the audience, the neighbor who lives there.
Can I just address the point on the size of it, that there were, the staff did a great job, and we thank Director King of working with us on this, working with outside consultants. What was presented to the Plan Commission, that there were at least 6 other times where the board has granted a variance of very similar sized structures like this before the board. It's been approved. All that's within the minutes. It's within the package of the Plan Commission meeting. This land, when consolidated, will be over 6 acres, and when compared to other parts of the village, other residential zoned areas where you get to have up to 3.5% as the grade, this structure is only a quarter of the size that you could build on other similarly zoned areas in the village. So again, 4 times the size is allowed in other areas. This is zoned R2A, and so it has that 800 square foot variance. One of the other kind of common comments amongst the few that objected to this about the size is, again, we don't want to mess with the area and keep the continuity of the area. So it's all forested. If you drive down Doty Lane and you go to the very end of the cul-de-sac, it's all forested. You can only see the gate that goes to Mr. Fensel's and part of his driveway that goes to his house. You can't even see his house from the cul-de-sac. You can't see through the forest to where this structure will be located. So, understand that some people have an issue with the size, but no one's ever going to see the size. No one's ever going to see the structure.
Melissa, being this is under R2A, once they consolidate, will that then trigger the change to E1?
It will not be rezoned.
Or it will not be rezoned? Okay.
No, but when we look at
the... It still stays as R2A?
Correct. When we look at these variances, though, we have a lot of parcels in this village that are very much oversized for the zoning districts that they're in. Sometimes we have that occurring in an entire development, and it just is based on how we brought some of those developments in from Will County, and they just don't meet our codes. And so this area of the village, I think some of the smaller lots in here might be a little bit over an acre, and then some are 3, and some are like Mr. Fensel's property. They vary in size. And I think we need to look at this area of the village as well, which is a pretty rural area of the village with a lot of agricultural land around it. So I think there's a lot of E1, A1, A2 in this area with structures of this size. I think if this was up in the northeast or northwest, we might not be talking about that. The other thing that I think is important, I was looking at this, is the one that we just approved, actually, is I was looking for the size of the property.
Before we do that, I believe Beth had asked for somebody from the audience she wanted to hear from, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, Trustee Rogers.
Mr. Stevens, oh, he's right here.
My name is Clyde Stevens. I live on lot 17. I've been there 25 years. I know Jim has put a lot of money into this. Last year, they brought in hundreds of yards of fill and gravel without a permit and brought it up. So if you're looking down at the cul-de-sac in Doty Lane, the property where it's going to be built is actually up maybe 12 foot higher. So you're going to put add another 18 feet on this building from ground level. It's going to be sticking up 3 stories. Now, they're saying that there's a lot of trees there is. But, you know, this is right in Messenger Woods. It's right in between. It's the only lane, and Messenger Woods surrounds it. And now the people are going to approve it, but, you know, community and nature and harmony, and you want an industrial size. This building is 60 feet long, 40 feet wide, 18 feet high in a residential area. I just don't understand the size, why they need the size of this building in this area. It's the only lane, it's right in the middle of Messenger Woods. So that's all I have to say. I know they put a lot of money into it without a permit, but I don't know. That's the way I feel about it. I'm going to see. Now they're talking about the trees. Yeah, the trees have been there for many years. If they use the same logic that it's going to cover it up, trees lose their leaves. So in the winter, I feel as though you're going to be able to see this thing sticking up in between. And also, using the same logic, trees die. They have a lifespan. And the same logic, storms happen. What happens if some of these trees get taken down? The building is there. It's an industrial-sized building in a residential area. Thank you.
Melissa, do you know what this building is going to be used for?
As I understand it, and a lot of questions were asked at Plan Commission, I believe there was a vehicle, a boat, gardening tools, and I think there were ATVs mentioned, because I do think the family has some recreational vehicles. But I think Mr. Fensel could answer this question better than me.
Is there a second floor going on this structure, sir? It's all one floor.
Now, also, Doty Lane, there's one way in, one way out. So any motorized vehicles that is in that area has to get out that area. And there's 16 other homes along the way up to Parker Road.
And we have no plans of later on trying to run a business out of there of any kind, correct?
No, sir.
Okay, because that was alluded to in here also.
Many things that's being hypothesized, there's no foundation in reality. This is a hidden away building in the forest, in the answer. And it gives us a chance to gather things which are now scattered about and put them away for the winter.
Carmen, could you please move the screen down just a little bit so we can see? There's other structures to the north here, or is this a screenshot? Can we actually go to that website so we can see the structures to the north there? There seems to be pretty big barns to the north of there that would kind of fall in that same category. We've got the transmission lines to the east of there. We've got the Spring Creek to the north of there. But I'm concerned about to the northeast just a little bit.
That's not part of the subdivision?
Yeah, I know, sir, but there's still other things that look similar to what he's asking for. We need to go to the north, Carmen.
Yeah, I think Melissa made a really good point. I mean, this is a tough one for me. I understand your concerns.
Further to the north.
Talking.
And now to the east.
Anyways, what I was saying was, Melissa, I think you made a really good point.
Now
with
to the north, please. And shift back over towards the west. Okay, I'm trying to get to that next property so you can see. There you go. There's other facilities out here that have barns that are just as big, it looks like, as what they're requesting here. Although you do have a barn out there already. In addition to this, it kind of brings that square footage really up there. So I'm guessing you got a lot of things to store. So,
Mr. Fensel, are these your items or are they somebody else's?
Are they my items?
Yes.
I own my items, there's a trailer.
You own all the items that you plan on storing, correct?
I think Melissa made a really good point. In this area, there have been multiple units that are similar, somewhat similar to this. You know, it would be different if we were talking about a subdivision or, like you said, on the east side.
Not in Messenger Woods.
Melissa, did you said?
Forest preserve? You mean in the forest?
In the actual forest preserve? No, I meant in the residential areas, not in the actual forest preserve itself.
The biggest building there is probably 1,200. That's a building on this second property.
Right. No, I agree that this is large. I agree that this is why this is a tough decision, but basing on the things that we have already approved before and the things that Melissa just recommended.
But is that on the same elevation? This is going to be sticking up.
Melissa, can you see what the elevation difference is between the two lots?
Can I see them?
No, I'm asking Melissa. I'm asking her.
15 and 6.
No, so 14, but 17 is not listed.
Yeah.
And that's the property, I think, down to the right.
Right.
We have a little-
Stevens, can you see this? Do you live right here?
Pardon?
Is this your lot right here?
Five lots.
It would be,
Are you the one closest to the cul-de-sac? Or are you on the
I'm right on the cul-de-sac.
you're right on the
That's it,
cul-de-sac? The one you can see?
The second one down from the right.
Okay, the one that's coming off.
And that sharp, it's a 1 acre site right there where that point is.
So you're asking for the elevation difference between his property and
17 and 15.
I'm just kind of looking at 692 and his house, and then there's a lot that goes around his differences.
Since they brought in the fill, I would say my property is level with
So it's lower
lot 15.
by 12 feet.
So from his lot to Mr. Fenzel's lot,
12 feet.
it's 12 feet lower.
The 684 country goes around.
Right.
So 12 feet, yeah.
It is a very dense property as well in between.
So it's sit lower.
I think it might be prudent if we table this so that we can go to his property. You know, we've all seen this property, but to go and stand on his property and just to see his concerns, because again,
I would say right now that you look, I could not see that building from this time of year. I could not see it.
okay.
Yeah, the lot 16 has been vacant since 2017. Now, whoever moves in there, they'll have a direct sight of that building, but there's no one living there now. I take enough of your time. Thank you for listening.
Okay, Joe, I just want to ask one thing. In regards, obviously, as part of the variance, we're not saying anything about the permit that wasn't pulled for the driveway. So you're going to handle that end of it in addition to that, since there was no permit pulled for the driveway?
We didn't have, there was no permit pulled. We know it happened in 20, well, we were alerted to this when it came in the office.
So we don't know when that actually may have occurred.
So there's nothing you have to do in between the amalgamation of the two properties okay.
I will add that typically when we would wait for board approval for items like this, condition that the consolidation occur after, but the village will not release permits until the consolidation is processed. I have the application on my desk. It came with the zoning application. Their attorneys have filled it out. I have to sign it as a zoning officer, and then it gets filed with the assessor's office. So that's the procedure.
Well, I see why the planning commission struggled with this one a little bit, but I think delaying it, the neighbor is 5 houses, I counted the parcel numbers, I believe from the main, where the house is at, it's 5 parcels to the southeast, and I don't see any benefit of going out there if he even says he can't see it from his property right now anyway. And we've done this in the past, the conditions A, B, and C have to be met, and that makes it 6 acres of property. I don't see any reason to delay that.
I agree with Trustee Fialco. You know, you're having farming equipment in there, you have your cars, you're not going to have any semi-trucks or any anything industrial or commercial in there to run a business, or run a business for that matter, correct? And if it was a silo, it wouldn't be a big deal, but because it's a shorter one, you know.
Approximately 1/3 the height of the surrounding trees.
Right.
It's really indistinguishable. Not visible at all.
And the color of it is brown, right?
Color won't be forest brown,
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Everyone agrees now?
Yeah, let's vote.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Trustee Rogers.
No.
Trustee Pazmino.
Aye.
Trustee Laha.
Aye.
Trustee Fielko.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
No.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Motion carries. You're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you for being patient. Next, consider for approval ordinance number 22-038, was for 1, preliminary plat subdivision, 2, special use permit for the major amendment to the Menard Plain Unit Development, UD, with certain exceptions, 3 special use permits for A, a car wash, an automobile repair service, and a car use, and B, a drive-through establishment, a site plan, and 5, variance for the exterior construction standards for certain real property generally located in the C2 local business district, lots 4 and 5, for the Menard AUD subdivision home.
So moved.
Second.
Rosie.
Again, this does have some conditions, so if you wanted to incorporate those, it wasn't on the agenda.
Go ahead, Rose.
You want to do the conditions?
Who made the motion?
Well, Trustee Consolino, I believe, made the
She
motion.
made the motion.
Okay, Jen?
Yes.
Got to read it then.
You want to read the conditions?
I think it's the next one.
Here.
Oh, I got it.
Indicated subject to the conditions listed in the, whatever you call this,
This, okay, so the subject of the conditions of the subject to the supplemental sheet. Okay. Conditions and exceptions. Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you.
There was a lot of them.
That's why you have 2 lawyers. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Fielko.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Rogers.
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino.
Aye.
And Trustee Laha.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Welcome.
Consider for approval ordinance number 22-039, ordinance approving final plat of subdivision, roads of Old Oak PUD, certain real property located at 13240 West 143rd Street, Homeland, Illinois.
So moved.
Second.
I'm sorry, who was that? Trustee Consolino? Trustee Laha and Reinders, okay.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, Melissa? I do have a question about this. This is, this area comes back up. We just talked about this, I think, at the last meeting or the one before that. The buffer, the footage-wise, hasn't changed on this at all, has it? On this drawing, I'm looking along 143rd Street,
Why do I not have a,
and obviously, the print on here isn't the best
oh, yeah.
to be able to read, but I'm seeing at one end 42 point something, and at the other end 50 feet. I just want to make sure from what we've agreed to in the past, that that buffer footage has not changed in this design.
I'm not sure what you're talking about. I'm sorry, and I don't have a,
You mean where the tree preserve is, Dan?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the south end of this project.
so I think you might be looking at the area that's going to be dedicated for the road widening. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm not sure, that's why I'm asking here, State Aid Route 37. I just see that it's, I just see the number 50 at one end and 42 at the other. And for one, I thought it was continuous all the way across with the footage that was there. Oh, I'm looking at this.
The south border of the lots has
That I
not
don't know
changed.
if it matters.
Right here.
Right.
Right here?
Melissa, that
It says 50 feet,
doesn't
and
make
down here it
the
says
property line where
42.
the
Right here it
street is.
says 50, and over here it says 42. Or 38 something, right here.
That's a section. Okay, you're looking at this.
I thought I printed out. This from here to here. He's looking at from here. Yes.
Yeah, because we had an agreement on the buffer size over there, and I just want to make
I think
sure.
it's just a property line of the street.
Yeah, that's the measurement from the center line of the street to the right. That's the right of way of the road.
Right.
On that 50.
So nothing has changed from the original?
No, this outlot D,
Oh, yeah.
what he's talking about here, that still stays the same.
Okay.
Outlot D is.
Okay, so it all stays the same.
This plot.
Just for my own knowledge, because I actually I'm sure we talked about it. Not talking about the street, talking about the tree preserve. When that street does widen, we're not going to lose any of that preserve, are we?
Well, I think there is impact from the.
There is impact.
Yeah, but I think that this property is huge.
Right, exactly. I mean, and plus, right now, I believe that we have to go through that whole process again anyway.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, I don't know how Will County.
Yeah, Will County.
Village is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I know that they have to kind of go through that process again.
This is from the center line, though, of 143rd Street and then 50 feet to the north, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I walked that property, we all drive by that property, and that boundary right there to the north from 143rd Street is a pretty big gap. So I'm guessing at this point, the 50 feet that they're talking about won't encroach upon that at all, from what I...
Beautiful site track on
Right, and that's why we don't want to lose any part of it.
Well, I don't know that we'll have much say over that once they do widen the road. Will County is going to have...
Would concur with that.
Exactly, right. Unfortunately, yeah. But that doesn't show on here, at least, on this plan.
Our plan takes into account what Will County's planning currently and has not changed in that regard, as far as
Right.
I'm aware.
Okay.
No more questions?
No, and to sum it up, this is everything we've agreed upon for the past couple meetings. It's just now finally documented, and this is what we're voting on, the completion of the design.
Yep. If the board may be interested in knowing where this project is in the process. I know we haven't gone through a number of these big projects yet, so they've been feverishly working since the end of January on final engineering, which can take some time. Multiple comment review letters with HR Green, and we had a final meeting with them last week to go over a few things that were still kind of outstanding, which they addressed, and HR Green is fine with, which that has to be achieved before this can come back before the board. And then we did receive their performance guarantee, so we have a letter of credit on this project that's been reviewed by Brett, myself, and HR Green, and meets our standards for templates, and so that's good, and I think they're going to be moving forward very quickly. So it's exciting.
I have to say that's the subdivision I live in, Old Oak, and I saw that there was a road now, and I was so tempted to turn down it, but I didn't. I think you guys are safe, but it's exciting to see the progress.
We've got a lot of positive feedback from the residents, a lot of positive feedback. So we're excited for it to come.
Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Pazmino? Aye. Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
Trustee Cancelino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
And Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next, 14, consider for approval plat easement vacating the lot number 19 and lot 20 in the Mallory Lake Estate subdivision.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
If everybody takes a look at this just for a second, this was actually taken care of back in October 28th of 2019, but I believe it says in here that there was some part of it that expired. It's being brought back just to continue on vacating those lot 19 and lot 20. So I don't see a problem with this, unless anybody's got history on this that you want to bring up, Beth or Ruben or George. You guys were around when this was done, we were not. So other than that, I don't see any reason why not to vote yes for it.
Any other discussion?
I mean, I might be missing something, but it says that, you know, there's letters from residents and HOA in our packet, but I don't see that in here.
Were those letters, though, from 2019, though, or are those current?
I have them.
There's a letter right here from HOA.
My thing keeps freezing up.
There you go.
Oh, okay, so nothing new.
Yeah, no, it's the same. Yeah, no new letters.
I literally just grabbed a packet from back in 2018, whatever.
Any other questions or concerns? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Pasmino?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
Trustee Cancelino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
And Trustee Rogers?
Abstain.
Motion carries. Next, consider for approval resolution 22-010, resolution approving intergovernmental agreement, IDA, with the state of Illinois and the village of Homer Glen, appropriating funds for the 151st Street reconstruction project.
So move.
Second.
Discussion?
Discussion. This went through A&F, and it was voted unanimously 3-0 to move forward with this.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Pasmino?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
Trustee Cancelino?
Aye.
And Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Next, consider to approve the quote from Brown Industries, Inc. for replacement trunk body for a truck 129 in the amount of $23,264.
Wait, aren't we in?
No.
So moved.
We're on
We're on
I-16,
16.
I believe.
It was 16. No, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, there's two. Consider approval resolution 22010, a resolution approving the intergovernmental agreement with the state of Illinois, village of Homer Glen, appropriating funds for the 151st Street reconstruction project.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
And again, this went through A&F, and it was voted unanimously to recommend approval for the above motion.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers? Trustee Pasmino?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
And Trustee Cancelino?
Aye.
Now we're on I-17.
Consider to approve the quote from Brown Industries for replacement dump body for truck number 129 in the amount of $23,270.
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Again, this went through A&F. We had extensive discussion with Director Woods. He did his homework and tried all these different ways and looking at used, looking at new, looking at repairing. If this repair is made, it's approximate that we should get anywhere from 3 to 5 years out of that vehicle. So in the best interest of the village in keeping a snowplow moving, it was voted in admin and finance, voted unanimously to recommend the approval of the $23,274.43 to repair that truck. A new truck these days is somewhere around $200 and some thousand.
Trustee Rogers, you said you made the motion, then you second, but they also made a first and second. So for just clarification, who made the first and who the second?
No.
I
Just give it to
He
them?
was first.
Yeah?
And then you were second? Okay.
Hold on a second.
I think, Brent, maybe you could speak a little bit to this about the urgency of this repair, and how, you know, just a little bit of what you told us at A&F so that they understand why we're spending this kind of money on a repair.
Sure. Last year, toward the end of the snow season, 129 was in operation. The driver lifted the dump body to move the salt toward the spreader. I'm sorry, can everybody hear me? Move the salt toward the spreader, and the dump body cracked off the frame. I had welders come out. I had quotes to have Bunnell actually do the work. The lowest quote was about $42,000. This is us replacing all of it. Our fleet manager is fully capable. He's a welder, and he can do this job. And if we don't do, this truck is absolutely necessary for winter operations. I've got 2 trucks that are nearing 21 years old that I'm going to have to shift to backup status. They're not going to make it through a whole snow season. And our 2 new vehicles won't be here until the summer, which kind of doesn't help me very much in the summer. But this truck is absolutely essential to our winter operations. Without it, we're not going to be able to plow as fast as we did last year.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
Trustee Cancelino?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Prezmino?
Aye.
And Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, consider to approve 1 of 3 quotes for 2022 Parkway tree installation program.
So moved.
Well, the motion says, is there a motion to approve the quote from Bankston Nursery for the installation of parkway trees, because that is the lowest bid
Wait, which one?
for 2022 tree installation program in the amount of $30,960. That's where we're working, right? Correct. Okay, thank you. Ruben, you made the motion?
Made the
then?
motion, sure.
I'll second that. Discussion as far as that goes. In A and F, this did pass unanimously, but we did bring up the question as to what kind of trees we're getting for that kind of money to move forward with the tree replacement program. And one thing that we did collectively all agree upon is that a crabapple tree that was on the list, that we would avoid crabapple trees if we, at all costs, especially near the sidewalks, because they cause a tripping hazard sometimes with the fruit that falls off the tree. It also is a mess, and it also brings wasps. So that would be the reason why we are asking for the replacement trees to steer away from using the crabapple tree. I think we did say that I mentioned the tulip tree, which is the Indiana tree, state tree. It grows very slow. It's a beautiful leaf on it, foliage-wise. It's got a flower after they're 5 years old on some parts of the tree, and then quickly after spring, that flower goes away. And they last somewhere around 200 and some years. So that was a suggestion. Where we're at with that, Carmen, I don't know, as far as them letting you make that decision, but that was the recommendation from A&F, and we voted unanimously to approve that $30,960 for, from Bankston.
Can I say something really quick? I'm looking at all these bills, and Bankston is the only one that does not include labor in their quote. So is that going to be additional for labor? Wimmer has labor, and Landscape Supply also has labor included in their quote. So I'm wondering if that's maybe why.
So it's delivery and planting for you, Nicole?
Delivery and plant, oh, okay.
Yeah, I asked that same question.
Did you? Yeah. Okay, because that seems pretty low for labor compared to the other two.
Well, also, I'd like to know if there's any conditions on the types of trees that we should be putting on the parkway before we approve this.
Well, there are some residents that are on a list.
Basically, we're leaving it open for them to plant whatever tree they want to plant. There's no conditions here.
There's a list that some residents have requested for certain trees on the list that we have, and Debbie Stevens works with the residents to make sure the trees that they request are within the ones we.
Yeah, but there's nothing on this bill here or this invoice here that tells us what type, it just says shade parkway tree.
Well, the other ones actually have trees.
And I understand what Trustee Reiners is saying, because every tree is a different price.
Right.
A soft maple is a garbage tree, but in most people's observation with the helicopters, they grow fast, they destroy sewers. And so we want to make sure that we're getting a quality tree that's going to last a while.
Well, we've had made requests that they do not plant maples or crabapples as requested at A&F. Most of the trees that we're discussing would be, most of the oaks and stuff like that, so.
All right, well, can we get something in writing for them that we could specify whatever trees the trees that we're looking for?
I think I might be able to answer one of these questions. We do have some approved lists, right? One of them is a recommended parkway tree list, and there's also a not recommended for the parkway tree list that have been adopted by this, I believe it used to come in front of the board Beth, you might remember, I don't know, I think it used to, or at one time, so we have like 8 different lists. Those are the 2 that they use, and I believe historically, now I haven't worked on this program, I believe that those tree companies that are doing this planting have to pick from that list that was pre-approved. Now, I think the crabapple was on this list, and that's why it came up for discussion as to taking it off that list. Correct? Is that where that came from? And then I believe, Trustee Fialco, that the silver maple is on the not recommended list already for that exact reason, what you brought up.
Okay, well, I'm still not comfortable with the fact that we don't know what kind of trees that we're getting from them.
I would agree with that, and that's why it came up in A&F. I mean, the approval part for the money to be spent, but knowing what we're going to get, no different than with the roads, we want quality, right? We don't want to have to come back and do this again.
And it says,
it makes the difference as far as the way the community looks with
on one of the quotes, it actually says 1-year guarantee on the trees.
What are you saying, we hold off until we find out what trees, or?
Carmen, what would be your recommendation at this point since you've been working on this?
If you look at the.
Can I make a suggestion, Rose?
Yes.
Can we table this to the next meeting, and I'll put a list, I'll put the recommended list that we have and discuss with Bankston's to make sure that, I know that it's specified. I'll get that list out together so we can make a judgment call on
Well,
it.
if you look at the landscape supply Inc., they listed all the trees that they will be giving us.
Correct.
Can I say,
And then also, can you get us a copy of the list that you're giving to the residents when they call? Or are they just calling and saying, I want this, and you say yes or no?
We go off the recommended list. Debbie Stevens has a list of trees, so we go from there.
can I,
So I motion we table it?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
I will second that.
Yeah, motion to table.
I will second that.
Okay.
We'll just table it. Table it till next.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Fialco?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
And Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
19, consider for approval the budget of the 2023 Homer Community Festival with a total amount of $246,600.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
As far as discussion, with the cost of it, the Fest committee came together and we put the numbers together for the budget. Now, what we did is we brought in $248,760. So the amount that we're asking for, based on what the Fest made, is basically, it's less than that amount, but it's basically the same. Obviously, we were way under budget last year when we made the request for the budget. The same would go this year, but with the unknowns, with all the increases with everybody and labor issues right now, and us not knowing, we just want to have the flexibility. We're not looking to spend $246,600, but it is less than what the Fest brought in, and we're just asking to be able to have that flexibility should we run into the problem and need a little extra money for things. But obviously, like we have penny pinched as we go down the list on everything last year, that'll be the same direction we'll be heading this year. There wasn't a band out there that I didn't negotiate with on the price. And that's down this whole list. But again, without knowing the cost of fireworks and what they're going to end up being, without knowing what bands are going to be asking, with 20 to 25% increases everywhere on items, of course, everybody knows about fuel. So that is why we are asking for the amount of 246. And if anybody's got any questions, I'm willing to answer them.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
And Trustee Fialco?
Aye.
I just wanted to say, Dan, you did a good job with the cutbacks that you did this past year. And yes, and I expect the same when I was cut off, but yes, thank you so much. I know you won't spend that whole amount, so thank you.
Carmen and I had this conversation
I agree.
the other day.
Costs
We
are going
still
up.
Pick up pennies.
Okay. We're gonna.
Motion carries. So
Yes.
next is
Here's those
consider to
pennies.
approve the Director of Economic Development to RFP request for proposal for the purpose of seeking input, design concept, and aligning with the village's vision for a town center.
So, second.
Discussion?
Sir, reason we're asking for this is very preliminary, as you know, and we need a land planner to kind of go out there and see what the best location for something like this would be. You know, come up with different costs, just basically get the ball rolling on this. And we're looking for one of the best land planners out there, and Janie Patch is going to lead this charge, and CED is 100% behind this, and we think it's going to be very successful.
Any other discussion?
There are no costs behind the RFP, by the way.
Okay, Madam Clerk, roll.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
Trustee Cancelino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
And Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there any other business?
Yes, sir, I have something. To be honest, I wasn't going to say anything.
Is your mic on? I'm sorry.
All the way?
Oh, there you go.
All right. One thing that's been bothering me from the beginning of this meeting, and I normally things like this don't get to me, but to be honest with you, to me the term, when somebody calls you a forger, it's the same as a criminal. It's something that's been going around for a while, and there are things that other municipalities have mentioned. I feel like we have this rubber stamp on us, not only as the board, but our staff. I really want to get behind this forgery. To me, anybody who would forge a document as simple as a liquor permit, God knows what else they're up to, you know. We spent a lot of money on getting the results for the signature because we wanted to get to the bottom of it. And I feel that even though the results came back and they said it was your signature, you're saying it's still not yours. That could be it. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, who knows? But I don't want this to go to sleep. This is not going away. I'm not going to be called a forger or a thief, and I don't want anybody else on this board to be called that. Forgery is a crime, and we want to put this away. And to be quite honest with you, mistakes happen. It happened all the time in meetings. We're signing things, we're looking at the meeting, and sometimes maybe you don't notice. But let's put this thing to sleep now. If we made a mistake, let's say, you know what, I might have signed it. Okay, we move on. But to say it's not your signature and then make it just disappear, this is not going to happen. Because that means that there's a forger on this premises, and we want to know who it is, and we want that piece of garbage to go to jail, and we want him reprimanded and embarrassed the way we've been embarrassed for the past couple of months, because they deserve that and worse. So, to you, sir, once again, I'm begging you and I'm imploring you. Accidents happen, because if I was in your shoes and I signed it and we got this far, I'd say, you know what? I screwed up, guys. Yeah, I might have signed it. It's my signature. Okay, whatever. But if this doesn't end here, it's going to incur more expenses, because this is not where it's going to stop. People have we've gone to special meetings for people throwing a business card. Now we're talking about somebody forging a signature, which should be way past throwing a business card. So I implore you, sir, if it was an accident, let it die here and let's move forward. Because I will guarantee you that if it's not solved today, this is going to go on and it's not going to get better. There's going to be major repercussions for this. Because, sir, if it wasn't you, I apologize for what I'm saying. But we're going to get down to the bottom of this piece of garbage criminal then who signed that document. That's all I have, sir. Okay.
I'd like to speak on this. That's why I walked out earlier. I'm livid. And I and everybody else on this board has every right to be angry. I'm sorry to our residents. I'm sorry for this board. I'm sorry for our staff. I don't want to say anything inappropriate other than that my feelings have definitely changed completely about how everything is run. And I know I've been a bull moose about pursuing information, but this is completely unacceptable. And when we hired this individual, you know, and first of all, nobody on this board knew what the results were going to be. We also didn't know what results, when we were going to get them. We trusted Will County Sheriff's Department to do an investigation, and we haven't heard one word from them. And this is since the middle of June. You know, we hired somebody because we wanted to get down to the bottom of what exactly happened. We gave the mayor the benefit of the doubt that it was possibly forged, but we also knew that it could possibly have been him that signed it and him that lied. And for the findings that came out tonight, to sit there and say that this is false, that it's not your signature, after this gentleman looked over 50, was it, signatures? And am I correct to, wait, I'm speaking, point of order. Now, this gentleman is the person, my understanding, that Will County Sheriff's Department, and I know I asked this on the board when we hired the individual and voted for the ordinance, that this is usually who Will County Sheriff's Department goes to by going through the Illinois State Police. He is their consultant because they don't have an analyst on staff.
Will County Sheriff does not have an analyst on the staff. The state police used to, but do not. So what the state police would do in a situation like this, if the inquiry came to them, in all likelihood, they would refer it for an analysis to Mr. Kulbaki, all right? Or someone with equal qualifications to his. If Will County came to the state and said, hey, can you get this done? They would probably then tell Will County, you contact Mr. Kulbaki or someone with equal qualifications. That I can tell you because that's what he told me. That was one of the things I was concerned about. But when this happened, there was a gentleman from the state police that came and that was in the office with the village manager. I believe the mayor was in the office. And I asked, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I asked him at the time, because he was called in to initiate whatever the investigation was going to be. And I asked him if the Will County State Police, or Will County Sheriff, excuse me, had a person of this, that could do this on their staff. And he was forthright and he said no. Okay, but the mayor indicated that he wanted the sheriff's police to investigate. And so that's what was allowed to happen. And when nothing happened, that's when this board then acted and said they wanted the signature analyzed, and that's what has been done. And to conduct the analysis, Mr. Kulbaki needed the original document from the Liquor Control Commission. So we contacted their assistant general counsel, and he got us the original document because he was aware of the situation. Because of the circumstances resulting in the second application being filed. We got him the original document along with a batch of 30 signatures the first time. And he asked for more, so we then submitted 20 more. And then he finished his report. So that's the genesis, beginning to end of this fiasco.
Will County Sheriff never requested the original copy from the Liquor Commissioner, correct?
To my knowledge, no.
Because they still had it. Now, I don't see a need to go in executive session for this because I don't feel like being lied to anymore. And so I will take the initiative, like I always do. I will file formal complaints against you, and I will also file civil action. So there's no more need for us to have people constantly harass and ask what's going on with this. You did this to yourself, but you ruined your village. You ruined your staff. You disgraced us and this board. And there's no other way to say it. I can't, because I don't want to be like you, and I don't want to be a bully, and I don't want to be inappropriate on this board like you are at every meeting. Now you can have whatever you want. You've already ruined it.
I don't think there's any reason to doubt the stature of the gentleman that did the analysis. I think he claimed to 14 points in his document, and I don't see why there would be any reason to doubt his report. So by saying that it wasn't yours is kind of calling him a liar, but in a way that's kind of hard to say though at this point, because he's well renowned for the work that he does. This wasn't somebody just off the street. This is somebody with a background that's impeccable. I was on your list of the accused for a short amount of time, and I've been very quiet about it, although it did hurt my feelings. And now that the answer has come back, and I did say the proof is in the pudding and the truth will come out, and I will say this, the truth for me did come out with this gentleman doing the investigation. Should Will County continue their investigation based on something else that they have, or close it because of the information that we just provided, it doesn't matter one way or the other. But when you're on that list of the accused and you're sitting waiting for the truth to come out, it is a little bit painful. I don't know if you've been there before or not, but I wasn't too happy that I was on your short list for for a week. And then you did change your mind and say you weren't sure who, but it wasn't you. But anyway, I'm glad that we have settled this up. The documentation has showed that it is your signature, and I'm okay with that. I feel justified. And I knew I was innocent, but yet having your name put out there is not fair, for one, and for two, it is very hurtful. It is even hurtful that you would have even mentioned my name, knowing me, that Sue was included in your short list, I was included in your short list, and to ever have said names was wrong to begin with. And anyway, I accept the investigation's results, and I'll go with that. It's your signature according to the investigation put forth by a well-renowned man who's done this for many, many years, and we'll go with that. That's all I have to say about the signature, although I do have other new business. Does anybody else?
I'd like to say something. After hearing this, I have to say that I'm very concerned. And the things that I'm concerned about is, number one, is the health of the mayor. Is he healthy? Is he having problems with his memory? But I'm most concerned about the staff, the morale of the staff and the trustees who were subjected to the alleged accusations of forgery. Calling a special meeting, almost canceling Homerfest when we had everybody in this village up in arms saying, oh my God, you're not going to cancel Homerfest, you're not going to cancel. Well, calling the liquor commission, we look like fools. Fools. Calling the state of Illinois Liquor Commission to verify a signature. What are we, kids here? Is this first grade, second grade that you got to make sure it's the same signature? That was not only embarrassing, but now we find that it was totally unnecessary. I don't know if all along, George, if it was your intention to throw a monkey wrench into the Homerfest or cancel Homerfest by this whole fiasco with the signature, but I just can't even imagine what it did to the residents of this community. The people that we are supposed to be representing. So, and where do we go from here? Does it stop here? Is there any action that should be taken? Those are my questions.
Is there any other new business?
We're actually under old business still.
Under old business, and I still have old business. Lieutenant Taylor, I would like to ask you, though, do you know where the investigation is into the signature allegation?
I haven't gotten an update since I emailed you guys a couple months ago.
Do you think you could get an update for us and give that information to the village manager?
Sure.
Mr. Morella?
It's probably
So he
gonna-
can inform us collectively at that
Probably going to
time?
be the same as before. I can't comment.
And you probably heard my mention, I'd like to include the investigation that we paid for as part of their investigation if they're choosing to continue with it. But we'd like to get some kind of resolution here as to their consensus.
I will let the lead detective know that Carrie is going to forward that to them.
Thank you, sir.
All right, is there any other old business?
Old business. Yes.
We should check on those.
The flock cameras, we're still at 2, Carmen?
Yes, still are 2.
Lieutenant Taylor, anything with the 2 flock cameras that we used for anything? No, sir? Okay. That's all I need to know.
Wait, I'm going to ask on that too. Have they given us any reason why we haven't gotten the rest of the cameras? We voted this in
It's almost over, it's at the 6-month
January?
right now.
Yeah, I thought it was when we voted for January or
I'd
Christmas.
like to put it on the agenda for next month if we could.
Yeah, and I would like to point out too, I mean, the contract was never finished out. Maybe there should be discussion if we want to even stick
We
with
put
this.
it on the agenda and discuss it next
Yes.
meeting, maybe? In the meantime, you may be able to find out why.
Sounds good to me.
Anybody else? In addition to that, we did have some mosquito complaints out there once again on the village website. Village Manager Morella has worked with Matt Libbs to get the information out there for everybody. It includes the MSDS. There's a video clip of the presentation in detail. So any questions about mosquitoes and spraying and the pollinators can all be answered there. The contact numbers are provided there. And that's what I'm suggesting that anybody's got questions about that, where they go first.
Is there any other old business? Is there any new business?
Under new business, I was going to address HB 3653 and the Safety Act. I have a raging headache now, and I really don't feel reading off the stats and stuff that I compiled. But I would like to ask if that we could possibly have discussion for coming up with a roundtable, thank you, Nicole, or a active dialogue with the board members, possibly create a task force to start addressing the storm that's about to come, and then I will just read my stats and my numbers and my trustee report for the next meeting. Is that okay? Thanks.
Is there an executive session?
Carrie, we don't have anything, do we need to go for local 150 or anything like that? Okay.
I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Aye?
Yeah.